Life Over Coffee. Conversations for Transformation.
Hello everyone, Rick Thomas here. Thank you so much for joining me for this walkthrough that I'm doing in my book, Living Boldly, a 31-day devotion. And this is day number 29, and I actually want to go around the block again because in an earlier devotion, I talked about self-esteem. And I want to talk about it again because self-esteem is such a dominating influence on our culture. It really came on board when I was a kid in the 60s and 70s. That's when it gained a foothold, and it's been picking up steam ever since to where self-esteem is a huge part of the zeitgeist of our culture. And so it has a dominating influence on our lives, even if we know better, because we live in people who just admire themselves. And they're trying to get us to admire ourselves and to think about ourselves all the time, the way we look, the way we dress, who we hang with, what we own, where we live, etc., etc. And so self-esteem is one of the most damaging doctrines in our culture. And so I want to spend a little extra time in my 31-day devotional. And so in day number 29 here, I've titled it a very sophisticated title, Reevaluating Self-Esteem. And so I want to reevaluate the prior devotion. I want us to rethink this cultural message of self-esteem. The world tells you to focus on yourself to find freedom. You want to be free? Think about yourself. The Bible teaches a counterintuitive truth. The path to freedom is found in thinking less about yourself and more about God and others. And when I say less about yourself, I don't mean thinking less of yourself. You're made in the image of God. The Imago Dei means something. And so we don't, oh, pitiful me, thinking less of myself. No, thinking less about yourself is what I'm talking about. In Philippians 2, 3 and 4, Paul says this, do nothing from selfish ambition, thinking about yourself. Do nothing from conceit, but do things in humility by counting others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to your own interest, and so you see there that we do look to our interest, but we have to do more than that, go beyond. We also look to the interest of others, Philippians 2, 3, and 4. The self-esteem agenda calls you to admire yourself and to focus on yourself. It claims to be the solution for your struggles like guilt and shame, like fear and insecurity. But this unbiblical concept, it often leads to more pain and disillusionment. And the question is, why does it? I did not know this as a complicated, bound-up teenager. Did not know God, didn't know to love Him and love others, so all I could think of myself. And so as I looked inside of my darkness, the morass of my soul, well, you can imagine, you can imagine what that was like. Turning your thoughts inward only magnifies and amplifies the darkness in your soul. Looking inward is not the solution. The more our gaze goes upward, outward, the freer that we will become. From a biblical perspective, low self-esteem is not the problem, and elevating self-admiration isn't the solution. Thinking more about yourself, whether to inflate your ego or to cure your insecurities, all it's going to do is deepen self-centeredness. The Bible is clear. Apart from God's grace, we're all hopeless. We're sinful. Looking inward for solutions blinds us to the only real hope that we have that is outside of us, and His name is Jesus. Jesus didn't come to help you to focus on yourself. He came to rescue you from yourself. It is an extraction from yourself. He came to clothe you in His righteousness, not yours, freeing you from the burden of self-centered thinking. The gospel declares that our depravity is the perfect backdrop for God's redemptive work. We are broken and totally depraved, and there is a Redeemer that's going to pull us out of the mire of our own disillusionment and sin and depravity. When you stop trying to elevate your self-worth and instead focus on the worth of Christ, then you experience freedom. The more you turn your thoughts to God and others, the freer and more joyful you're going to become. And so that is my second trip around the block. This is day 29, talking about self-esteem again. I've titled it Reevaluating Self-Esteem. By the way, I do have a book. It's titled Loving Me, as I really break down the whole self-esteem doctrine of our zeitgeist, and I give you a better answer through the gospel. You just received a partial answer here in day 29 devotional. I would encourage you to get my book, Living Boldly, a 31-day devotional for young adults, and you will find at the end of each devotion I have questions for you, and so the book will be very helpful. I've only given you the heart of each devotion in all 31 of these, but I want you to get the book so that you can work through the questions with a friend, because there is nothing like doing life over coffee with a good friend.
Thanks for joining us. Learn more and get access to other resources at lifeovercoffee.com.